Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday night, and we are so excited about our Unlocking Your $1 Million Mindset call this evening. We're closing the month of August. September is going to bring us such incredible information. In fact, I was just on a conference call with some of the owners and leaders in Ryan Anderson, getting a little sneak peek at what we're all going to hear at Rush Convention in less than 2 weeks in this little town called Las Vegas at the MGM Grand Hotel. So for those of you that are new and who may not know who I am, my name is Sandi Coohen, and my sweetheart is Ed, and we've been married probably more years than most of you are on this planet. And we're actually actually September the 3rd, which is next week, we will be celebrating, get this now, our 54th wedding anniversary to each other. And I shake my head and say, how in the world is that possible when most people don't think I'm older than 50 or 55? But of course, you know my story. I got married when I was 2 years old. Anyway, we've been professionals in network marketing, direct sales now for 21 years, but it was not an easy journey. It took us 10 years to become an overnight success, and I struggled.
I'm here. Sorry.
Really struggled. Okay, good. I struggled, really struggled through 11 companies before I found Zango. So if you're listening to this call and you're new to the industry, it's almost unfair that someone who thought enough about you to introduce you to Zango because you don't have any scars or wounds that are still bleeding. But tonight, we're actually finalizing Brian Tracy's Success Mastery that we've been doing for months and months. And there are so many masters that you have seen in Zango University, but I have to tell you, Brian Tracy is probably one of my favorites because he really goes into the subconscious mind. He helps us to understand that we are all born with greatness. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your education. Success is yours if, in fact, you are willing to pay the price and be persistent and understand failure is part of the success, that it takes sacrifice. And there are days where you're just shaking your head. You're so disappointed in people because they don't always see what we see. I mean, think about it. Have laptop will travel. I'm sitting at the beach in the pool working with conference calls. The beach this week is my office. You know, I walk every morning, and I've been posting pictures. And it's Monday morning, it's Tuesday morning, it was Wednesday morning, and I'm taking pictures. And guess what? I'm the only person walking on the beach. Where is everybody? They're in the office buildings. They're working. So what you have to really believe, it is possible to live your dream if you are willing to do the work and willing to invest in yourself in what is known as Chennai, constant and never-ending improvement. But you're on the call. You're listening. So you've already made a decision that you're going to be successful. Failure is not an option. So we have two special dear friends that are going to co-host this evening, and one is Jo, and Jo is just an amazing woman. Her degrees have degrees. Her father was extremely successful in a health food store. She's got degrees in psychology, and she just devours all of this. And you know, she made a decision that, and maybe if you don't mind, Jo, share a little bit about what you are doing today that will change as you build your team of customers and business partners within Zango. So you'll be the first this evening to share the portion of the Brian Tracy sessions for this month of August. Over to you, Joe.
Thank you so very much, Sandy. I really appreciate it. And Brian Tracy does make me dig and think and search myself and find those areas of change, even when I didn't realize, oh, that's something that needs to be taken up and taken care of. You know, one of the things that my passion that's building, and especially because of Zango, especially because of the Jews, is my passion for people to be healthy, my passion for people to not be in pain, quietly sitting back in agony and pain and having no hope and not realizing and understanding that we have to take control over our health. It's not up to the doctors. It's not anyone else's responsibility. It's our responsibility to be healthy, to eat right, to do what we need to do, and to take these wonderful supplements that can change our lives, give us our lives back. So that's my passion. That's what I want to spread around the world, spread within my groups and with my customers and help them understand there's hope. So, and I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to share with everyone what I learned. And we're all learning, and it's beautiful. I learn from everyone else who also participates and speaks about Brian Tracy. This month is great. You know, he gets back to an area where, you know, you might not believe it, but I have had some struggle, and that's communication. I can talk, but listening is something that is also extremely, especially in what we are doing, that's extremely important, and really more important than just talking. There are three parts of any conversation, as he talked about. He talked about the ethos, the character of the person. He talked about the pathos, connecting with the person, always remembering people, and carrying a heavy load, which I thought was very interesting, and really connecting with them, connecting with their, you know, finding that problem, and then we're problem solvers, right? And then he talked about the logos. I might be mispronouncing that. The factual content of the conversation is not near as important as really dealing with the pathos, where their problem is at, and being a very good listener. That's the real thing. And what comes across to people is our character, how our passion, how we feel, how we care. Do we care, about what their needs are? And that is what's really important, and that's what people are listening for and looking for. He also talked about words only account for 7% of our message. Tone of voice counts for 38%. He made me laugh because he talked about women and how in tune we are to that. And yes, we listen to every tone, inclination in the voice. And if it's not right in the right place, believe me, we pick up on it, and we might have a little bit of a issue with that. So I thought that was very interesting. And body language, counts for 55% of that message. And, that's what people are picking up on, as far as how do we care? Are we looking them eye to eye? Are we paying close attention to what they're saying? Are we passionate about what we're saying? So between just body language and tone of voice, that's like 90-something% of what, 93% of all of it. So, it's not really, the words that we're saying. I mean, that's incredible. Then he talks about 4 basic personality styles: indirect communicator, direct communicator, people orientation, and task orientation. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about this, but he talks about relators, people who are highly people oriented and indirect, and he also talked about analyzers who are indirect and they are self-contained and they're more into task. And then he kind of gave an idea of, where they would relate. A relator is more like would be maybe a nurse, teacher, psychologist. And I wasn't surprised on that. And then he said an analyzer might be someone who works with computers, accounting, engineering. And having these personality styles, understanding that everybody isn't quite like us, and to not necessarily define someone based upon our own experiences and how we view the world. That's something that we have to do. We have to kind of, understand that Some people are just going to want the scientific facts. That's all they're going to want. Just show me the facts and the numbers. And then there are going to be other people, they want to hear the product experience. They want to hear the stories. So everybody's a little bit different, so we have to keep that in mind because we're dealing with different people all the time. The director is a person who's outgoing, direct, and task-oriented. To the extreme, they could be a dictator or tyrannical or have no patience. And he says socializer, they want to, they don't want to make a mistake with anyone, and they want to be with everybody. They're real flexible, and it's really important for them to, get to know everyone. So, and some of us have a little bit of all of that, but usually we're strong in one particular area with that. The person who asks the questions have control. I love this when he said this, and this is so true, and it's something that, where I am still working on is, asking questions, feeling comfortable with that. And, that's something that, is important because that's how you get to know the person's problem. What is the problem? What do they need? How can we help them? And that's really what helps in communication. Then he talks about balanced dialogue, no monopolizing, listening. I'm emphasizing listening because I know that's an area that's, I have been weak in, and it's very important to listen. Each of us have a need to talk, and we all need to listen. I love when he said that. He said, acknowledge and agree in good conversation. And he made me laugh when he talked about some husbands who are, the wife is chit-chatting and she's talking, and all of a sudden, she gives this look to him because she realized he's not listening. And then she asked him the question, and he's like, uh-huh. I don't know if any of us has ever been caught in that situation where we're not quite engaged and paying attention to what the person is saying, but it's important. We want to feel important and we want them to feel important, so it's important for us to disengage in whatever else we're doing when someone's talking and trying to focus on what they're saying. And he says, sometimes people, he's a good listening skills he talks about. He says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. He says, sometimes people are shy. The way to overcome this is to tune into the other person, ask questions, and then listen carefully for the answers. And, even if it's not a shy thing, if you have a self-esteem thing going on maybe, it's good to not focus so much on what's going on with you, how you're feeling. Just focus on what they're saying. And then it'll take the weight off of you, and then you can just, tune into what they have to say and help them out. Listening builds trust, the basis of all relationships, he says. Treat everyone like your best customers. And I thought that was really cool because, as he went into the family, he said, treat your family members like your best customers. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense. Listen, and he says, listening skills, keys to successful people. The most successful people are great listeners, right? They listen well. Sandi, she listens really well. If you get next to Joe Morton, they just, they sit back and they're so there with you. You can tell they care and they're focused on you. They're not focused on anything else at the time. When you're talking, they're listening and they're paying attention and they're engaged in what you have to say. And that's what great leaders have. That's what they show. That's what they do. That's who they are. And let's see here. And then moving on to the other section, which I thought was really great. It says, achieving success in family and business. Your happiness should be your chief aim in life. And, it's not a selfish thing. And I liked how he said this. And I think, this is something I've also had to struggle with because, I'm the oldest of 7 that are living. And, you as an older sibling, a lot of times you think, well, I have to give up everything so that everybody else can have what they want. And sometimes as women, we do the same thing. And, sometimes we have to realize that if we focus on what we know we need to do for ourselves and what's right, overall, everyone else around us is going to be happy because, we're taking care of ourselves. We're taking care of everything. And he's not talking about this in a selfish way. He's talking about this in a way as far as our goals and, making sure that, we attain our best. And, that's part of the happiness part, right? 85% of your happiness has to do with your relationships with people. He said it behooves you to do everything possible to enjoy and care about people in your relationships. And I think that's just beautiful. Moderation in all things. My mother's always told me this, she said, just always try to have balance. And, and I love how he just kind of broke it down. He says balance in family and work. And he talked about, not spending time just chit-chatting or wasting time with media and entertainment, but focusing on these two things that are so important, the real important things in our lives. And I think sometimes that, people, or I've been guilty of it. You think, well, okay, we're spending time in entertainment together as a family. That's family time, but that's not really engaging in family time. And me and my family, we've traveled together a lot, to say the least. So we've had conversations I know that, we probably wouldn't have because we're traveling together and, there's nothing, no music's playing, there's no TV on, there's nothing going on. And so, you don't have an option, really it's empty air. And now what happens? Questions come up, ideas come up, and now we share those things together. He says, feeling stress arises when your principles and goals are not congruent with your values. To always return back to your values. And, there's so much truth and power in that. And, at one point I did work with a Czech company, and also with my bachelor's in psychology, I worked in family support work, and there were definitely elements in that did not stay in line with my values. And yes, that does cause stress, irritation, agitation, and many other situations. It can even cause health problems simply because, when you're going against what is right and true and how people should be treated, that will make you not want to participate. If you're any person of character, that's not something that you want to be a part of. So it's always best to just, move on and do what's going to be, the best thing or what lines up with your values. And that's what I love about this company and the people in it. The values are high, and our goals are noble, and that's something very important. Begin with your values, he says. What is really important to you? That's something that we have to keep in mind and know where we're at on that. He also says, describe and decide upon your ideal lifestyle, And boy, Sandi has been talking about lifestyle, talking about the beaches and spending time. And I've been down in Florida, but it's really nice when you're free. You got all the time in the world to just walk the beach and enjoy nature and be at peace. And he says, to do more of one thing, you must do less of another. And that's, oh boy, this is an area I've really had to struggle with, because at one point I, want to do like 6 different projects all at the same time, but you can't do that. Not with, doing your best at all of that. Something's going to eventually not get the attention that it needs. So it's best to just really focus and hone into the most important things. He says, treat your time like money. Oh, isn't that deep? I think a lot of times people take that for granted. I know I have from time to time. You just get in the world and get busy, right? And you don't realize that time is going by and that it's important and it's precious and it's the most precious thing that we have. And this is my favorite part when he says, set peace of mind as your highest goal. I thought, yeah, that's me. Peace of mind. I don't know. There is just, is that not what we're all doing? That's what ultimately, that's what our goal is, right? Have that peace of mind, and live with authenticity of who we are and how we want to live our lives. That creates such a great peace. I don't really think better. I was like, yeah, that's right. That's so me. Then it says that the key to balance is to do just 2 things, work and family. I thought, yeah. Brian is so good at really just narrowing down what we should make our priorities, right? He says, work all the time. You have to work. Focus on that. And then when you're with your family, now you're 100% with your family, and focus on them and listen to them. And it kind of broke my heart when he talked about one woman who would read her book and then she would tell her child, get away from me, I'm reading. Get away from me, I'm reading. And that the woman was still struggling to this day with that feeling of rejection and unimportance. Just in that, from her mother. So, it's important that we take that time out with our children, our spouses, and our friends also, to let them know we care and that, they're important enough to kind of shut everything off and not be engaged in anything else and listen to what they have to say and give them that time. So, and then, I'm going to skip around here. I'm going to get to the 7 rules for the 21st century, which I love, and I had to even post it on Facebook because it was so great. He said, number one, your life only gets better when you get better. There's nothing else to say after that, right? 2, it doesn't matter where you're coming from. It only matters where you're going. 3, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly at first. Stay into the discomfort zone. I thought, ooh, until you get comfortable at a higher level. 4, you can learn anything you need to learn to achieve any goal that you've set for yourself. That's so true. It is so true. There are many things we've been uncomfortable about because we didn't know how to do it. But once we learn how to do it, now we're comfortable with it, right? You're only as free as your options. The options you have, the more options you have, the more successful you will be. That's number 5. 6, with any challenge you face, there is a seed of equal or greater opportunity or benefit. And 7, the only real limits you have are self-imposed. Oh, my goodness, that's not true. So that's it. That's my only part. Well, I didn't want to most of it, but it's really great. I loved it.
Joe, just fabulous. And I saw your post on those 7 rules for the 21st century. And I'm hoping that you'll also post them in our group,
yes.
Mentoring for Millionaires Mastermind. Make sure it gets posted there as well.
I
And,
will.
You talk about, how these sessions help change the way we think and how we do things. And our next co-host is a good friend. And, I think it's so amazing the quality of people that are attracted to Zango. Now, remember our background. Eddie and I were in 11 companies, and prior to Zango, so we're going back 21 years ago, and probably 20 years ago was my first nutrition company. And I was at a meeting, and I had 5 guests there. And the gentleman was one of these, silk suit, blue suede shoes, fast talker. And I had 5 guests in the room. He had 0. I'll never forget this. And he said, boldly, loudly, never let the product get in the way of making money. I was horrified. I told my upline that if he ever stood in front of a room that I was in again, I was gone. I was history. And I think that's what attracts people to Zango, because we are the exact opposite, attracting people like you, Joe, with your background, with your degrees. Mark's on the phone. He's this high-tech IT guy. And our next guest is our good friend, Tessa Greenspan from St. Louis, Missouri. And her curriculum vitae is so long, I'm just going to summarize it, because it just shows you what sets Zango apart from other companies. Because, truth be told, there are a lot of bad companies out there with bad products, with bad ingredients. There's some good companies, but Zango is not good. Zango is great. And that's what Eddie and I were looking for. We were looking for great, just like Joe, just like Mark, just like Tessa. So Tessa is actually a former owner of the Sappington Farmers Market in St. Louis. And she's actually one of the most influential women in business. So network marketing was a whole new animal for her, just like it was for Eddie and I, because, we ran traditional businesses. accounts payable, accounts receivable, insurance, headaches, serious headaches. And now we have a multi-million-dollar business literally in 43 countries with none of the headaches of a traditional business. Just to give you a little idea of who Tessa is, she's a personal mentor to many business owners. She obviously sponsors countless charitable causes, collaborated with local schools and teachers programs, teaching students practical business skills. Some of her accolades are National Woman Grocer of the Year, the Diversity Award for Washington, D.C., the Fermenter Award out of 5,000 women. She was chosen. She was also selected as one of the 25 most influential women in St. Louis by the St. Louis Business Journal. She was selected by the SBA, which is the Small Business Association, Person of the Year, and most recently was one of the top 100 people in St. Louis by people you should know. So my point is, how do we attract people like the people that are in Zango? It's because we are so product-driven, feeling so assured that the ingredients are the best of the best. You will not find anything out there any better. So, Tessa, thank you for taking time to share with us your feelings, because, it's like listening to a CD. When you replay that CD, you're going to hear things that you probably missed before. So, I'm an ex-school teacher, taught second grade. How did I teach the kids, multiplication tables? How did you learn multiplication? Repetition, repetition, repetition. So for now, Tessa, I'm going to mute myself out and turn it over to you, dear.
Thank you, Sandy. And Joe, you did an outstanding job. You're absolutely right, Sandy. It is the people that you attract. I have met the most wonderful people in the world in Zango, and I think we attract them. And, I might have been able to achieve a lot in the corporate or the regular business, but, network marketing is a whole new field. And I had to learn. I had to get humble. I had to really change my paradigm, because when I told somebody to do something, they did it. I had 80 employees. So it's a whole new paradigm, and it's really important to get humble and just kind of forget what you know and know that this is a new paradigm. So I love it. I love learning, and we are all works in progress. Every one of us are a work in progress, and what's great is that we can share in this. And I'm going to say some of the same things that Joe did, but it will give you a little bit of a different slant, and you're right, repetition does. I loved this Brian Tracy. It was so helpful, and actually when you study for this, then you learn even more. And so it's really great. But communication, our ability to communicate with others is 85%. And this is the most important thing, to be able to communicate. And like Joe was saying, it's looking people in the eye and really focusing on them and giving them the undivided attention. Do not look to your side or to your right or left, but look at them and pay attention. Live in the moment with them. That is probably one of the most highest compliments that you can give any person, is to give them your total undivided attention. And like Joe had said, that there's 3 parts to any conversation. The ethos is the character of the person. And the character is a really important thing. It's not something you can buy, but it's something that you earn, and it's something that you live. Pathos is connecting with the emotions. And, I'm a big fan of the Abraham Hicks too. And it really is so good. The Abraham Hicks is very much like this. It's important for you to really visualize with emotions in order to get what you want. And then logos is the factual content of the message. But it's the two. It's the character, and then it's the emotions. And I'm going to say it again. Have undivided attention with the person that you're talking to. It is the best compliment that you can pay any single person. And then there are 3 elements to any conversation. And Joe said a lot of these, and, I'm saying it a little bit different, and this is how we learn. It's the repetition. That the words account for only 7%. Think of this. Most people think that their words are impactful, but many people forget what you say. They will never forget how you made them feel. This is, I don't remember who said that, but it's so true. People will forget what you say, but they will never forget how you make them feel. And that gets to the fact of being totally in the moment with the person that you're talking to and not being distracted. So they're often, the words, as I mentioned, are less important than the others. And then your tone of voice. And it's really, everybody knows this, but you can sort of test this. That when somebody raises their voice or whatever, it makes you not want to listen. But your tone of voice, if you have a good voice, and people know when you're sincere. Your voice is 38% of the message, but it also is an important part. How you present something, when you say it with passion. And I'm passionate about Zango, and I'm passionate about what's coming. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know I'm excited about it. And then body language. So if you are speaking whatever, when you are passionate, you are using your hands. You are connecting with people. It's really important to be able to really present to a person. It's the 55%. 55% of your message is the body language. And so people believe the dominant message, the body language and the tone of voice. That is so true. So it's the full message. It's your words, and they are the least important, but your words are important. But your emotion that comes with it, and then the body language, which is part of the emotion, and then your tone of voice, so important. And then there are 4 parts. And then Joe had mentioned this, that there's the indirect, and those are the self-confident and quiet. Then there are the relators and people. It's really important that they're expressive. Then the tasks people they do not have any patience at all. So it's sort of kind of interesting to see what kind of person or personality styles there are. This is fun. And the person who asks the questions has the control. So this is really important. I love this. I love finding out about people and what they like and what they don't like and just all about them. It's just a fun thing for me. So it really gets you out of you. It's not about me. It's what about you? I want to know about you, what you do, what you like. Do you have any health challenges? How's your family? All of these things are really very, very important. And Sandi is outstanding at that. The close ended questions, that ends the conversation. So, and one of the most important things I learned from Sandi is always end an email or whatever with a question. This keeps the conversation going with a question that is pertinent. And then preface questions, like give the person a choice. It really is important for people to know that they have a choice. And I'm seeing where we are. It's in the open-ended questions. It's what, when, can you tell me more? Where was that? Could you explain a little bit more in depth? These are just examples of how you can have open-ended questions. And then I mentioned the closed-ended. They are you, is this? Those are closed-ended. And then I mentioned the preface, such as give them a choice. Is that good, better, or best? And that's a Sandi thing too. Good, better, or best. And then a balanced dialogue is focused on the other person. And this is sort of going over it, but it is probably one of the most important sessions. It is focusing on the other person. Get yourself out of the way. Don't talk with thinking of what you're going to say next. Just focus constantly on them. You can have an end game, but focus on them. Acknowledge and agree twice the average. So when a person is saying, well, I'm kind of tired of working, you can say, oh, I understand that. I was too. So it's acknowledging and agreeing. Whatever they say, do it more and more. And then good listening skills. Joe said it, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So important. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. That's the same as listening really carefully and living in the moment with this person. Listening builds trust, and trust is a major value in building a relationship with people. And it's the basis of all relationships, to tell you the truth. The listening skills are the keys to success for all people in every business, but especially in network marketing. Listen intently, no interruptions. And this is one of the one thing you should never violate when your upline is talking. Don't interrupt. Don't put your 2 cents in, no matter how much. That's sort of focusing on you. Let them talk. Don't interrupt. Don't say, oh, I know, isn't that good? Let them talk. Pause even before replying. Then question them for clarification. Always ask, how do you mean that? Could you explain a little more? And then feedback, paraphrase in your own words. Let me make sure I understand what you said. Could you be clearer in that? Could you help me to understand what you said? Then you pause, as mentioned, before replying, and then you question for clarification. And then the feedback. The feedback is in your own words. And I said this before, but let me make sure I understood. Did you say such and such? So it's really, I could go on, but this is really one of the most important, as they have all been. And actually, Sandi, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this, because it has helped me so much. And so thank you.
Tessa, and thank you. And we do these calls once a month on the 4th Wednesday of the month. And yes, we learn by doing, but we learn more by teaching. So I implore those of you who are listening in to step out of your comfort zone, get a little bit uncomfortable, and make a commitment for the end of September on our next call that you are going to participate. Because we all, if we're going to be successful, and both Joe and Tessa said this, we are problem solvers. And very much the way you interact with people is what builds that relationship. That's what builds the communication link between the two of you. And I know when you talk about interrupting, I just had a situation yesterday on a 3-way call, and it was going so well. The person, the distributor, constantly interrupted me. I'm in the middle of a sentence, and she blurts out, and I'm saying, oh, my gosh, I didn't prep her before the call. I didn't say, make sure you mute yourself out and do not interrupt or contribute unless I ask you a question. So when you are arranging a 3-way call with your upline partners, make sure you ask, how do you like the 3-way call to be handled? Really, really, really important. And you talked about open-ended questions. And, there is an entire series that we did for, I think it was, Joe, over a year on Michael Oliver. And it's called Natural Selling. If you get time, just review some of those archived calls. They are priceless. So to go on a little bit more, Woody Allen, one of the favorite guys on the planet, 80% of success is showing up. Doesn't mean you know exactly what to do or say, but you're present. Just like you're listening to this call, and events are not negotiable. You're going to be in this little town called Las Vegas at this monster hotel. It's called the MGM Grand on September 9th through Sunday for the event after the event. So you can take your business to the next level. I remember 21 years ago when I first met Polly Butler, and she did these Sunday events, which we used to have 5 girls in a room, and we lived on what used to be cereal bars, or, I don't even know if we had protein bars in those days. And that's what we lived on, that and apples, because we couldn't afford to eat. But I showed up. Why did I show up? Because we were $450,000 in debt at the age of 52 and had no plan B. It was either I do or die. So are you at that point? And I know Brian talked about character. Who are you? And who are you when no one is watching? That's really the key for your character. And, he talked this session a lot about happiness. And, I remember, what is it now, 1986 and beyond, for 8 or 9 years, I couldn't even spell the word happy because I was so miserable. But I believed. I saw other people making money in network marketing, and I said, well, why not me? I'm no different. I just have to learn what to do. As Tessa said, very different than traditional business, because we don't hire and fire distributors. We have to identify those who want us to hold their hand to help them grow. And this slide on the 4 personality types, I can tell you, I've always had a problem with this because it's so hard to really, we could do months on training on the personality types, but it's really important for you to identify because, I'm obviously a director. I like to be the boss. It's pretty clear. So, I'm like a bottom line when people are trying to send, send me your URL. I don't need to watch a video for 10 minutes. Just give me the website and I'll go check it out. Now, you can't do that to someone who's a socializer or someone who is afraid of change. So there are books on personality types, and the truth is, if you're not reading at least a book a month, now there are some people say you should read a book a week, but my feeling is put a book everywhere. Put a book on your nightstand. Put a book in the living room. Put a book in the bathroom. You're going to take at least 10 minutes in the bathroom, hopefully a couple times a day, even if you read just a few pages. So find a reason to read at least, 20 to 30 minutes a day. When my grandchildren were here for the month of June, we had reading time. They had to spend 30 minutes twice a day reading. I didn't care what they were reading as long as it wasn't comic books. We also talked about open-ended questions. Now this, if somebody asks me, what is the key? What is the key to unlock really connecting and communicating with people is to ask the questions that start with who, what, when, where, why, and how, and have them talk about themselves. The more they are talking about themselves, the more the communication bond gets better and better with the two of you. So just for a quick example, a closed question means that they'll answer a yes or no. Never want to ask a closed question. So something like, do you like books? They're going to answer what? Yes or no. But if you ask, what sort of books do you like? Then that's a whole conversation that they're going to have more than a one-word answer for. Have you been to college? And that would respond typically, yeah. Instead, did you go to college and what did you study? What were your favorite subjects? So you've got to learn how to ask questions that elicit a very long response. I remember when I was first learning how to do all of this with Michael Oliver, I said to, it was a gentleman, I said, share with me a little bit about your background and why timing is right for you to join our team to build your freedom. Well, he went back to kindergarten. I mean, we were 30 minutes till he got to high school. I had to interrupt. So I now qualify the question. Tell me what you do now professionally and why timing is right for you to want to build a recurring royalty income. So you learn by making mistakes. You learn by tweaking things. That's the part of getting really, really good. And I know Brian talks about seek first to understand, then to be understood. And I think this was a quote from Stephen Covey. And I think there's also Stephen, I can't remember his last name. Somebody maybe in the chat room will remember the listening CD that we have recommended in the past. I'll post it in our Facebook group. But I want you to think about this tomorrow, because it's late tonight. When you're in conversation with someone, anyone, and they're talking, and they're on a train of thought, do you say, oh, that happened to me too, I can't wait to tell you about this or about that? It's amazing how we do it without even realizing how often we one-up somebody or we interrupt someone, and it is the most rude thing you could ever do. I think Dale Carnegie, in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which the ebook and the audio, I believe, are both in the university, that someone he was talking to actually misquoted or made a misstatement, and he knew it to be 110% incorrect. It was absolutely wrong, but he never corrected the person. He never said, if you don't mind, that is not correct. This is what the actual facts are. He let the guy continue on without interrupting. Now, that takes skill. I mean, that takes a lot of patience. The other thing I want you to be aware of, when you're in a public place, when you're at convention, when you're in a meeting, where's your phone? Where's your smart device? Are you checking text messages? Have you shut off the phone totally so you're not distracted? There is nothing so rude as a speaker from the front of the room looking out and seeing people on their cell phone. I had this happen at a home meeting last year. Maybe it was earlier this year. And it was a young person, and, young people, their devices are a part of their bodies. I mean, I don't think they're ever without it. And as I'm doing the entire presentation, his head is in his phone, and he's typing with two thumbs, which I can't do, obviously. And at the end of the meeting, I went over to him and I said, excuse me for asking, but did you actually hear anything I said for the last 45 minutes? Your head and your two thumbs were typing all the time. And he picks up the phone and he shows it to me. He was dictating every word I was saying. Now that's rare. I mean, that is really rare. Most people are texting a friend or a family member, but be aware that people are watching you, and you are emerging leaders, and you want to set the example. So just put the phone in your pocket or in your purse. Now, he also talked about happiness, and this could be different for each of us. What is happiness? Is it seeing your family healthy, joyous, prosperity? It's something that is an individual thing. But you'll know for sure if you are not happy. It's easy to define that. And how you broadcast is going to fuel your success. And ironically, Eddie and I are co-founders of the Association of Network Marketing Professionals, and we're on the board for 11 years. And just recently, we had a call with Michelle Gillian, who has a New York Times bestseller called Broadcasting Happiness. And she's a former TV, CBS, ABC News, or whatever anchor woman who decided to focus on the positive instead of the negative, PhD and all that stuff. And I think that we are going to start doing a monthly call with her book, Broadcasting Happiness. And if you'll go to Amazon and get the book and let me know you've got it, I bought a bunch of copies, and when you buy 3 copies or more, and if you let me know that, you get a workbook. And I think we're going to follow this workbook because I think it was Joe, Tessa, or both who said, nothing is more important than you to get up in the morning, and when your feet hit the floor, are you happy? Do you feel joy? Are you looking forward to your day? That's what this is all about. And I found this quote, and to me, this is, in my mind, it's absolutely true. If our minds are actually like a garden and our thoughts are seeds, you can either grow flowers or you can grow weeds. Think about that. Do you want to grow flowers or do you want to grow weeds? And I remember way back when, and we're going back maybe 19, 20 years ago, and it was the Jewish New Year, and the rabbi had this quote on the program at the lowest point in my life when, Tessa mentioned the teachings of Abraham and Esther Hicks and the law of attraction and like attracts like. It is absolutely true, and we've done trainings on that, right, Mark? But here is my quote, and you should write this down. You are where your thoughts are. Make sure your thoughts are where you want to be. You are where your thoughts are. Make sure your thoughts are where you want to be. So think about that. Remember, the mind does not know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So imagine what you want your life to look like. Have you cut out pictures from magazine? Is it on a dream board that you can look at every day? Do you have pictures on the wall, on the refrigerator, in the bathroom of what you want? Because, trust me, it will happen. Now, for us women, balance is not so easy. If you've ever read John Gray's book, Men Are from Mars, Women Are from Venus, guys are the hunters, show me the money, whereas women, we're very different. We have 2 lives. We've got, in most cases, a professional life, and we've got a family life, and we've got kids and finances and budgets and deadlines and all of this stuff. And women need to have purpose, passion. They need to know the products work. They need to know there's science behind the products. Unlike the guys, very often, not the guys in Zango in the majority of cases, because the guys in Zango do care. But we want to change the world. And balancing all of this for women, especially single moms, and that's why one of my mantras is bring the mothers of America home. Why do they have to deal with work and the family life when they can work from home and work around the kids' schedules? That's my dream. That's my goal, to help as many women as we can to live the life that they deserve. So you need to decide, what is your POM? What is your peace of mind? When we were 52 and $450,000 in debt, all I wanted was to be able to pay the bills at the end of the month, because we couldn't pay both the electric bill and the phone bill. And the only reason they didn't shut off the electric is because we were also caregivers for my mom, being diapered, tube fed, suctioned, and on oxygen. And by law, they couldn't shut off the life support. That's how we lived for 8 years. So for me back then, peace of mind was to know, oh my gosh, we made it through the month. and I'm no longer driving a 9-year-old car with no air conditioning in the summer in Phoenix. That was my goal. It wasn't to have a Rolls Royce again in a stretch limo or $1 million home in Lake Las Vegas. That was not my goal. My goal was to help enough people that we could help ourselves. It's almost like the flight attendants say on the airline, put the oxygen mask on yourself first, and then you help others. Well, that's what you need to do by committing to never-ending improvement, because you can live your dream. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. But you have to take control. You have to say, I am going to learn to do this. Because the truth is, you don't have to be smart. You have to be hungry, and you have to be driven. So the question is, are you hungry? Are you driven? Do you want to wake up every day knowing that you're living the life that you love to live? And you've joined a company. I mean, think about it. This is Utah Business Journal, one of the top, I think it was top 20 companies privately held in Utah, with 6 owners that care about their distributors. They have a comp plan that has no breakage, that they don't count on you failing the way the other companies do. So be proud, stand tall, and for heaven's sake, use your upline partners for those 3-way calls so they know they've got an entire team to work with them, because success does not come easy. In one of our earlier trainings with Brian Tracy, I forget, maybe somebody in the chat room will remember, I think he said millionaires failed 17 times before they actually had a success. You know the old story of Thomas Edison, who tried to invent the light bulb, and when he finally did, the reporter interviewing him said, well, why did you continue? 10,000 times you failed. And his comment was, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways it didn't work until it did work. So success lies on the other side of failure. So are you frustrated? Good. It's a good thing you're frustrated. It means you're working. But never give up on your dream, and commit to the lifelong learning. Because unless you've committed to that lifelong journey, you will never have the peace of mind that you're looking for. And part of that, obviously, is attending Rush Convention, is attending the Sunday event after the event. And right now, trust me when I tell you this, tomorrow is the 27th, if I looked at my calendar, and it's the last day of the half-price lunch ticket for the event after the event. So when you buy your event ticket right now, the Zango Nation leaders, and there's 30 or 40 of us, that are subsidizing the early bird lunch ticket. I don't have to tell you the MGM is very expensive. A boxed lunch, believe it or not, for $24, and that's without the tip, the gratuity. So it's only $12 to get the lunch with your event ticket, but that special ends tomorrow. So what are you going to do tonight? What are you going to do tomorrow? Because a year from now, you will wish you started today. And there is nothing worse than looking back with regret and saying to yourself, I wish I would have, I wish I could have, I was in the right place, I was there at the right time, and I didn't do anything. So if you missed the first wave of millionaires in Zango, the second wave is going to be even bigger. And I wish I could tell you what's coming at convention, because we have this call tonight, and I can't tell you, or they'd probably shoot me. But I got to tell you, you've got to be there so you can hear all these announcements. So when someone offers you an opportunity, if you're a guest on this call, and most people say, can I really do this? Who's going to help me? Yes, you can do this. You've got a whole team of people that are going to help you do it. You'll learn how to do it as you start earning income. So this actually is our last chapter in Brian's Success Mastery Academy. And if you're just joining tonight, not to worry, because we've archived all the calls. We archived every call, so you can always catch up. Haven't yet decided what I'm going to do for September, October, November, the rest of the year, but we will post it at xuevents.com as soon as I get back home, probably on Monday. And what I'd like you to do is make a decision to take action every single day. Decide what your minimum daily contacts are. Give out the pro samples, because, quite honestly, people will notice a difference. Visit our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/MMMFT, Mentors for Millionaires Mastermind Fast Track. And also like us and check in on our Zango University page as well on Facebook. Now, I'm also going to put into our Facebook group, MMMFT in the morning, a very nice inspirational message that gets inside the minds of the richest people of all time. And it's almost like a mantra, very soothing. It would be great, just amazing, if you could listen to this just before going to bed. Not the news with all the horrible stuff that's going on, but try to listen to this before you go to bed. And here's the website to register for ZangoUnited.com. It's at the MGM. Everybody should know this by now. It's Sunday, and we start sharp at 8 a.m., and we have gift baskets we're giving away at 8 a.m. that have somewhere between $700 and $1,000 in product, and we will have another one given away during the working lunch. And so we're going to be registering probably no later than 7:30. So you want to go to ZangoUnited.com, make sure you get your event ticket, and take advantage of the lunch discount as well. Some of our sites, xuworldwide.com, and once you log in, all of our archives of all our calls are there. I know at the beach here I had a storm. The internet disconnected me a couple times, so goodness knows what the recording is going to have on it, but we'll do our best. And decide once and for all that you deserve an extraordinary life. And just remember that happiness is up to you. Decide what you want and say to yourself every day, yes, I've got a millionaire mind, and I say yes to success. And we're a little bit over. I apologize. Hopefully everyone will have a marvelous, marvelous week. It's not too late to get rush tickets. Some of us, including Eddie and I, still have a few tickets left at the discounted $49 rate if you're not brand new, because if you're brand new and you're within 60 days, you can get a rush ticket for $20. For the rest of us, it's $129. So if you need any, just shoot me an email. The Facebook group, Vivian, is facebook.com/ thank you, Chris, /groups/MMMFT. I started this as Mentors Millionaire Mastermind Fast Track. I know it's a mouthful, but the truth is I don't know how to change it on Facebook to Unlocking Your $1 Million Mindset. So I've just kept it MMMFT. Thank you, Chris, for helping out there. And with that, we will say good night and looking forward to seeing everybody in our home turf in Vegas at the MGM. God bless everybody.
Thank you, Sandi.